All right. Divine Rising, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and share this out real quick. Can y'all believe it is? We have 3 more days before this month is over. This month has went by extremely fast. And I don't know, did y'all catch the blood moon last night? I actually caught part of it, the eclipse. Caught some pretty good shots, pretty cool. I might share that in my stories, but anyway, we're gonna get started here in just a moment. And if you're tuning in with me right now, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if this is your first time tapping in with me, I am Shakitha, and I am coming from the state of Texas, going live from the state of Texas. I am originally from the OKC area, Oklahoma. I'm from that area. Let's say that. I am from that area. And so let me know where you're tuning in from. And we're going to get this kicked off. Because I have a lot of things I have to kind of get done that are, as we talked about, priority, and getting things done. Because, like I said, this is the end of the month. We got 3 days left before counting this one because it just barely got started. But I mean, so many things to get ready to happen. Just kind of, give you a little update here. We have not visited the site, which is academy.quietqueensacademy.com, which I will be migrating that over to quietqueensacademy.com. I'm glad I did that. I'll be migrating it over today. And if you have not, I mean, you can actually go there and just explore that page. Like I said, there's a lot of things going on. Let's get ready to happen. I'm working on, and I'm pretty excited about that. And if you're not in the academy, you can definitely go to quietqueensacademy.com/community and join the academy. Explore the academy for about 14 days. After that 14 days, it does bill at $39 a month. So just go out and check it out. There's courses back there. There's, definitely different content as well. I'll be doing certain things in that academy as well, with new things, events, things like that. But anyway, just go explore quietqueensacademy.com. Again, that will be switching over to quietqueensacademy.com. So either way, you can go to either one of those sites, and you're gonna get some type of information. But in any way, we're gonna go ahead and get this kicked off this morning. Of course, like I said, it is Friday, August 28th, divine Friday to you. August 28th, 2026, and it is 6 minutes after the hour, 36, 36 minutes after the hour. Anyway, today's title is Leadership is Knowing What Needs You and What Doesn't. And of course, we are actually getting ready to end this theme for this week, which is intentional energy. So this week, we have been learning to become more intentional with our energy, and we notice what receives us. We discern what deserves priority. We've learned to communicate those priorities clearly. And yesterday we gave what matters somewhere to live through structure. And so on today, we bring the work into leadership, because leadership creates another demand on our attention. People can begin looking to us for answers, directions, decisions, and support. But being a dependable leader does not mean becoming the immediate answer to everything. And so this morning on Quiet Queen's Morning Live, we're talking about the difference between being present and being perpetually available, and why sometimes the most responsible use of a leader's energy is knowing what genuinely requires her and what someone else is already capable of carrying. And so with Quiet Queens Academy, leaders build independence. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to tap in on that on today. Leaders build independence. And so, again, divine rising to you, Quiet Queens. We've spent this week talking about intentional energy. Monday, we noticed what receives us. Tuesday, we decided what, excuse me. Tuesday, we decided what deserves priority. Wednesday, we talked about communicating those priorities. Yesterday, we gave those priorities somewhere to live through structure. And on today, I want to bring all of that into leadership, because something changes when other people begin depending on your leadership. And there are questions, there are decisions, there are things people need help understanding, and it can become very easy to believe, right? And so, if I'm the leader, I need to be available for all of it. But I've been thinking about leadership differently. Maybe responsible leadership isn't being the answer to everything. Maybe part of leadership is knowing what actually needs me and what doesn't. So, here is a reflection from myself. One thing that matters to me is developing people who can think, move without needing me for every decision. Because if everything stops when I'm unavailable, I haven't really created independence. I've created a system that depends on my presence. And I don't want to confuse being needed with being effective, right? And there are absolutely things that require my leadership. There are decisions that belong to me. There are responsibilities I shouldn't have to some shouldn't hand. There are responsibilities I shouldn't hand to somebody else simply because I want more space. But there are also things another person is capable of learning, deciding, or carrying. And sometimes leadership means knowing the difference. All right. And so we're going to tap into the core of this conversation. I need to go live on here. Yeah, I did. Okay. I don't know. Just had a little fog there for a minute because I can't remember if I hit live over here. But anyway, we're going to get into the core of the conversation. And this is kind of like, a mirror, right? It's like a mirror. So the first thing is being needed can quietly become evidence that you're leading well. right? Sometimes being the person everybody calls feels like leadership. You have the answers, people trust you, they come to you, you solve the problem, and there can be value in that. But notice what happens if everything comes to you. Every question, every decision, every issue, every clarification, you name it, eventually your attention isn't being directed by priority anymore. It's being directed by whatever reaches you next. And the people around you may begin learning. Before I move, I need to ask her. That may that may look like dependence on good leadership. But if but it may actually be dependence instead of developing leadership. So in any event, you want to create leaders who are independent of you instead of dependent on you, right? And so the second thing, when we mirror this, right, is constant availability can make a leader the system. They trying to kill me with this bleach over here. Oh my goodness. Um, if information only lives with you, if decisions only happen through you, if nobody knows what to do until you answer, then you're not simply operating the system. You have become the system. And that creates pressure in both directions. You carry more than you need to carry, and the people around you receive fewer opportunities to develop their own judgment. And the Quiet Queen's operating system explicitly teaches that systems create freedom and that leaders should develop independence rather than dependence. And so now we're going to tap into the awareness of this conversation, right? And so the third thing, presence and availability are not the same thing. A leader can be present without being perpetually accessible. Presence means when I'm here, I'm here. I'm listening, I'm paying attention, I'm responsible for what belongs to me. Availability means can you access me right now? Those are different questions. And healthy relationships need both presence and structure around access. And so, because without structure, availability can consume the attention required for the work only the leader can do, right? And number four in this conversation of awareness, sometimes the question doesn't need your answer, it needs the other person's thinking. And that's one thing I love about when we think about NEPQ. And if you ever heard that, go look it up. NEPQ, neural emotional persuasion questioning. Because when you ask the right questions, you get people to thinking, and then they can make a decision on their own without you. So this connects directly to what we talked last Friday about boundaries and leadership. So sometimes the question doesn't need your answer, it needs the other person to think, right? And so if someone asks, what should I do? We can immediately answer. Or sometimes we can ask, what do you think? And that's a favorite one for me because I love for people to think for themselves. I mean, it makes sense for you to think for yourself. Oh, excuse me. So not so in essence of what I was saying, so if someone asks, what should I do? You can immediately answer, or sometimes we can ask, what do you think? Not as a trick, but because we don't want to help, because we generally want to know whether they already have enough information to make the decision. And maybe they need clarification. Maybe they need another resource. Maybe they need coaching. And maybe they already know. But if I answer everything before allowing someone else to think, I may unintentionally teach them to trust my thinking more than their own. And we have already spent an entire week teaching self trust. Leadership should not undo what we've taught. And so the thing is, and I'm always for a person thinking for themselves, because it's easy for a person to not think and make a decision based on, themselves and what's going to be fitting for them. And I'm sure you probably experienced this, and we probably have done this ourselves and asked somebody, so what do you think? What do you think about this particular situation? Or what do you think about, that? I mean, well, what should I do? Right? And I've been in that space and asking what should I do, but let's really just dive deep in for that for a minute, because sometimes, we can ask somebody what do they think about something or their opinion, but then at the end of that, or what should they do, but at the end of that, they still gonna make the decision on their own, right? So instead of like giving an answer, right, just ask them, what do you think? Because at the end of the day, you got to live with the decision that you make, right? And me, I believe that's really a really great leader, when you can direct that person back, when you can direct it back to them instead of giving an answer, right? And so let's talk about the pathway of this core of this conversation. So before automatically taking something on, ask what the situation actually requires, right? Oh, excuse me. I'm sleepy, y'all. Been up too early. But anyway, so before automatically taking something on, ask what the situation actually requires, right? So when something reaches you as a leader, pause and ask, does this require my decision? Does this require my knowledge? Does this require a system? Does this require clarification? Or does this, excuse me, excuse me, or does this person need room to think and decide? Those answers lead to different leadership responses. Sometimes you lead by answering, sometimes you lead by teaching, sometimes you lead by creating structure, sometimes you lead by asking a question, and sometimes you lead by allowing another capable person to carry what she is ready to carry. And that, my friends, is stewardship, right? And so, if you are tuning with me right now, this is where, if I can get a little engagement, even if you are watching this on the replay, think about somewhere you lead, your family, your business, your team, your community, and maybe even a relationship where people regularly come to you for guidance. And ask yourself, what am I currently carrying because it genuinely requires me? And then, what am I carrying simply because I've become accustomed to being the one who carries it? Those may not be the same thing. So, and here's a practical implementation of something that you can actually do. So, this is the leadership energy check, all right? And so, the next time something comes to you, ask, one, does this actually require me? If yes, own the responsibility. Two, could clarity solve this without my continued involvement? Maybe information or structure is missing. And three, is someone else capable of carrying this? Don't automatically take back what another person can responsibly learn to hold. And four, would a question develop more compatibility than an answer? And then try. What do you think your next step is? Then listen. The goal isn't to become less supportive, it is to become more intentional about how your support develop people. All right. And so in closing, Quiet Queens, we started this week with our own attention. We receive me. What mean not receive what receives me. Then we learn to decide what deserves priority. We communicated those priorities. We created structure around them. And today, we recognize that leadership requires us to steward our attention to. Being a leader doesn't mean everything needs you. Being supportive doesn't mean everybody needs immediate access to you. And developing people doesn't mean making every decision for them. Sometimes the most useful thing I can give somebody isn't my answer. It's enough clarity, structure, and space for them to discover that they are capable of moving to. That's how this entire curriculum connects. Self trust taught us to trust ourselves, boundaries taught us to honor ourselves, intentional energy taught us to direct ourselves, and leadership asked us to create environments where other people can learn to do those things too. Leaders build independence because leadership isn't measured only by what works while you're present. Eventually, it also revealed by what can continue when you're not. And so that concludes our live on this morning, Quiet Queens. Now, if you are tuning in and you're watching this on a replay, drop your perspective on this particular topic or any topic of this week. Again, I want to thank you all for spending your time with me during this week for intentional energy conversation. And so, again, I want to thank you for tuning in. I am Shakita, and I will see you on next week. Have a divine weekend.